tricky has it been navigating this indefinitely, not knowing if you're going to be back in New South Wales anytime soon?
Yeah, it's been interesting, but to be honest, it hasn't been too tricky. We're lucky we've got a pretty resilient group and a pretty excitable group at the moment, given how we've been playing. And to be honest, we don't want to mess with that. So we're quite happy with where we are. Obviously, there's some frustrations and some uncertainties, and as Horst said before, there's a number of coaches and players that are in unique situations and are probably struggling a bit more than others. But I think overall we're in a pretty good space.
As a club captain, do you take on a bit more personal responsibilities around the group as well as professional, given the circumstances that you're in?
I think maybe a little bit. I guess the strength of our group is we've got a great coaching staff and a big diverse leadership group as well. So it's all about everyone rowing the boat and doing their little bits. And again, it's probably the same with the Giants boys. There's no one correct way to go about it. It's all kind of new to us, so we're kind of just acting and leading as we see fit, and hopefully we're doing an okay job.
And isn't it especially important to get around a couple of the boys who might be off for a couple of weeks with an injury or some sport, because they don't have their family around with them?
Absolutely, I think that's a big part of it. Not just injuries, it might be a drop in form or struggles at home. A lot of them have got interstate girlfriends that have moved up, and only for the boys just to move back down into Victoria. So that presents challenges in itself, and we just got to be aware of it and try and be as open, as honest with them, and I guess hearing them out is the main thing, and doing what we can.
What does it say, mate, about the spirit within the group, determination, that in light of these challenges you guys are facing, you're arguably in premiership contention? I mean, it's been quite a phenomenal few weeks for you guys. Yeah,
I think it shows the strength and character of our group. Really impressed with the way our emerging leaders, Callum Mills, Tom Papley, Jordan Dawson, have been going about their business and probably more so their off-field stuff as well. We've really seized this as an opportunity, and I think our footy's been doing the talking, particularly over the last couple of weeks. It'd be naive to think that we're not going to have ebbs and flows and maybe a dip in form at some stage, but we're going to roll with it while we've got it. And I'm really proud of what our group's been doing on the field so far.
Do you think the bye came at a perfect time for the club, considering how good the form has been since you come back from the break? I mean, 10-point loss to Port Adelaide, then a big win over West Coast, and then knocking off top of the ladder Western Bulldogs on the weekend?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what the bye did was give us a really good chance to reassess where we're at and probably make some changes to our game plan that we wouldn't have been able to train and talk about probably if we were still on the week-to-week schedule. So we were really confident after, while we had that bad loss to Hawthorn where they smashed us around the ball, particularly contested possessions. We made some changes and we were really clear with what we needed to do. And while we didn't get the chocolates against Port Adelaide, what we've done since, we're as I said, we're confident in the change we've made and we've seemed to implement them pretty well.
Josh, your recent record against the Swans is pretty healthy. I think it's 4-1 the last 5 matches. Does it give you a mental edge at all?
No, I think when you're going into a derby and playing a team like the Swans, you reset every time. Also on the back of their current form, they're playing some great football, so we know every time we play against them, it's going to be a slog of a game, a contested brand of football, and an enjoyable contest. And I think that's, over the past few years, that's what you can expect every time. So, no, as I said, I think you reset, you expect a really good contest and a really good brand of footy to be played, and I think that's what we'll get this weekend.
Josh, what do you guys do to address the consistency? I mean, clearly your best is good enough this season, but then you have these sort of off days, no disrespect to the opposition, where you don't look like a top 8 side. What are you guys doing to address that?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously something we're addressing and need to address. We've shown that, if we play a brand of football that we pride ourselves on, that can stack up against the best teams. And I think being really consistent, with our KPIs, with the certain areas that we value, I think you'll find in the games that we're not performing to where we want to. Those things probably aren't where we want them to be. So just making sure we're really sure amongst the group what that brand of football looks like. Holding each other to playing certain roles and judging yourselves within that. And that starts week to week, and I guess it shows itself on game day. So. It's definitely something we're working towards, just bridging that gap, and we've definitely got better at it. I think it's something we've probably tried to manage over the past few years, and like I said, we're trying to bridge that gap between our best and worst, but at the same time, the competition's so even at the moment. If you're off by 5%, 10%, you're going to get found out, and I think that was us on the weekend. Gold Coast played a great brand of footy. They brought the heat, and we just weren't able to execute as well as we would have liked. So I think it's a number of things, a few things we can control, but also you got to respect the opposition every week because it's a very even competition.
What lessons do you think you learned playing at Mars Stadium this week, given that you're coming back there this weekend? Like, how do you think you'll tinker with the game plan?
Yeah, I mean, we probably didn't move the football the way we would have liked. I think that's been a good learning point for us for large parts of the game. We got stuck on the windy side of the ground and little things like that. It's definitely been a good learning opportunity for us. We've had a few meetings around that and how we can play the ground better, but I think more than anything, it's on us to go back to winning the contest, moving the football the way we like to move it, and priding ourselves on that.
Josh, where are you at with a decision on your future?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment it's probably not something I've put too much thought into, just with, obviously it's been a pretty hectic few weeks, getting out of Sydney pretty quickly, moving down here and setting up with the club down here. So that's probably been first and foremost, and myself being able to, impact out on the field, but also continue to develop my leadership and play good football as a team. Again, we're chasing that consistency, so I'm trying to help with that, develop my leadership, but again, it's probably not something I've put too much thought into at this stage.
Spending some extra time in Melbourne with your family, and I guess that's the benefit of being down here as well, help make that call, and do you still think it's something that you make during the season, or is it an end of the year call?
Oh, I don't think being down here changes anything. I think there's a number of factors that go into a decision around contracts. So again, it's not something I'm investing too much time into at the moment. There's the club and I are really happy with where things are at, and we've always said there'll be no rush. So everything's all good at the moment.
What are your considerations there, Josh? Obviously, it seems like you're happy at the Giants. You've got probably the most talked about contract in the history of football, which you weren't. So it's your contract. What are your sort of considerations there?
Again, there's a number of factors. And I think the biggest thing, or what's been great for me, is the club just, giving me time. And like I said, we're both happy with where things are at. So there's never been a rush, and I think that's probably been a number of times. There's never been a rush in regards to coming to that decision. But like I said, I'm enjoying my football. Things are going well. I'm trying to develop my leadership. So now hasn't been the time to I guess delve into that and invest too much time into it. So. While there is things I need to think about and consider, I think everything's tracking really well at this stage.
North Melbourne, obviously, came pretty hard last week. Everyone's aware of that. Is that an option for you again this time around?
Again, I'm not putting too much time into it. Footy's the focus. Improving myself. I've played a number of different roles this year, which has been a good learning opportunity for me. So I think that's probably been, really good for my development this year, and being able to. Again, work on my leadership, help those around me, play good football, and bridge that gap between our consistency, between our best and worst. So that's where my focus is.
What sort of impact will having the captain back this weekend have on the side as a whole and you personally?
Yeah, it's really exciting to have Cogs back. He's had a pretty rough run with injuries over the last couple of years. So to get back him in the side, and after watching him play a couple games in the VFL has been really pleasing. He's coming back with some great form, and it's definitely a lift for us. He's had a big impact off the field, and that's something that doesn't go noticed to the outside world when he's not in the team, but he's consistently been able to help those around him and impact those around him, and to have him back out on the field, it is a big lift for us, and it's great to play alongside him. So getting the captain back is, as I said, pretty exciting. Is there
a lot that we don't see off the field that really justifies the decision in your eyes to have him as your captain?
Yeah, absolutely. Cogs' relationships with all the players, the staff, he really leads by example in that sense. He's a great person, and then obviously his on-field speaks for itself. He's built the respect of the competition, of his peers over time, and I think that's what he'll be looking forward to the most, getting back out there and just shown everyone, the way he goes about it and just how competitive a player he is.
How do you think Toby has gone as standing captain over the course of Cogs' injury?
Yeah, he's also been outstanding. I think that's been clear to see. He's stepped up and really relished in the role, and I think everyone has understood the circumstances and jumped in behind him on the back of that. So, I think it shows the strength of leadership within the footy club. If you can continually, bring leaders through and have those guys who impact the group, it's really pleasing. So, yeah, Toby's done an outstanding job.
Dane, obviously you'd love to play in front of the home crowd in Sydney, but have you been surprised at all with the droves of South Melbourne supporters that have come out, and has that felt like an advantage at all?
I wouldn't say I've been surprised, because we've always got a really strong showing of South Melbourne supporters, traditional South Melbourne supporters in, whether at Marvel or the MCG, but yeah, it's been unbelievable. And to hear, we had South Melbourne chants going around on the weekend, which was pretty special given the significance of the jumper we were wearing. We spoke to Bobby Skilton and Peter Bedford the day before, and just knowing that the pride they have in the jumper and being able to do them proud was probably, what we played for on the weekend. And yeah, I think the support has just been unbelievable. We can't speak highly enough of it, and I think it does make it feel like a home away from home.
And do those experiences help you reconnect with, the overall culture of the club, because it's the Bloods, but also South Melbourne and Sydney?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. It speaks for itself, the pride and passion they have, and you can't help but feel that there's, something special when you pull on the jumper that we did on the weekend, and yeah, it does help relate to the past, particularly having past players. We've got access to past players now that we probably wouldn't if we were up in Sydney. So, again, while this situation is, we haven't seen it before, it does present some opportunities as well for us, and we've been really privileged and lucky to be able to take advantage of them.
Dane, just back on those challenges facing the group, obviously with an assault now on the top four, have you guys sort of had a pact of sorts that you'll all, as best as possible, stay together for the rest of the season? You might be here in Melbourne for the rest of the year. Have you guys discussed that as a group? And I guess you support someone leaving the group, but have you discussed all sticking together?
No, we haven't as a group. That's truth. Honestly, what's happened, because it's just been changing at such a quick rate. We haven't had a chance to really sit down and discuss what is, because we don't know what's going to happen. So to kind of forecast what's going to happen would just be, probably waste a lot of energy on that. I think we'd be naive to think that there aren't blokes that are considering the possibility of potentially going back, provided that we might be here till the end of September. Where I sit on that, personally, I'd support anyone's decision, because everyone's unique position is unique to their own. As a club, we haven't sat down and discussed what that looks like. So, but me personally, I'd have no problem with supporting the players in whatever they choose, just because it's such a unique circumstance.
And do you have any better visibility this morning on whether families can come down and do 14 days here?
Say again, sorry?
Visibility this morning whether families or girlfriends or partners can come down?
I think there's a meeting going on right now that we're 10:30, I got told. So we'll know more after this.
Dane, can you talk us through just the excitement or your maybe personal excitement of the team situation, having started your career with 6 years where you guys have been a contender and then had a 2 or 3 year period towards the bottom, but now you're back in it. Just talk us through that excitement and maybe whether if it means a bit more because of what you've gone through and maybe the surprise that you've come back up this year.
Yeah, really excited with where the group's at, particularly after a lean couple of years. Obviously, I've been incredibly fortunate that I've come into a club that's, we'd played in 19 of the last 20 Septembers, and up until 2018, that was the case. So after a couple of lean years and experiencing what it's like out of the finals and getting that hunger back and watching these new guys come in and not only play their role, but really thrive in high pressure games, which is what we've seen this year, is really exciting. And it's, it gives me a lot of pride and fills me with a lot of joy seeing them fulfil their potential as much as me, Joey and Parks, fulfilling ours. It's a new kind of set of circumstances, but one that we're really enjoying and embracing as much as we can.
A couple
One more, we're just running short on time.
Couple of the young blokes are really rising up in that upper echelon of players, namely Jordan Dawson and Nick Blakey and Tom McCartan, who all had great games on the weekend. So that must be especially exciting watching them blossom as they have.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, that's what's most rewarding as you get into the latter stage of your career. Watching these young guys thrive and as I said before, fulfil their potential. You know, the performances of the weekend, particularly of Jordan Dawson and Tom McCartan, they're not just performances out of the box. They come on the back of a lot of hard work and a lot of, you know, time spent away from the club working on their craft and seeing them bear the fruits of that is really rewarding for all of us to see as well as our supporters.